Welcome to Shape the Podcast, a podcast all about maintaining mental health by sharing stories from those who have overcome negative experiences and feelings, then turned them into something positive. Meet your host.
Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shape the Podcast. I mean, look at the shirt I'm wearing. Like,
that's a sexy shirt, I got to say.
I probably should. You know, for those of you who are going to be watching this, and you might hear some giggles and some laughter in the background, this is a pre-recorded episode tonight. We are coming from, I'm coming from Depot Brewing Company in Morrow, which those of you who watched the one with Sarah Fight that was recorded here at the Depot. I'm sitting outside right now at the Depot in this lovely, awesome Hawaiian Lucky Boy branded shirt. So
that's the key part. It's the Lucky Boy shirt.
Yes, it's. But so what is up, Jason? It seems like I haven't seen you in forever.
Nothing. But what I got to say is, well, not much. But what I got to say is, I love the look without the mustache. And ironically, I've now grown a full mustache back since the last time we were on the air together.
I know. You know, let's don't talk about that, because I think my wife is still having nightmares in her dreams. Okay. So
but now she can kiss you cleanly.
And you know, I love it. Like,
maybe she doesn't want to kiss you cleanly. Maybe she doesn't want to kiss you. So
being able to eat and not get stuff in my mustache has been great. Drinking a beer has been fantastic because I don't have beer mustache.
Yep.
But yeah, so yes, this happened. when people will watch this, it happened, I don't know, a couple months ago, but in reality, it only happened a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So I got a wild hair up my butt, and it has been talked about at Cyan last year, but my wife doesn't remember this. About me shaving my mustache off and going whaler. Chris Wilson. Yeah, blame it on Chris Wilson. It's all Chris Wilson's fault, because I think that is the same year that I got the tramp stamp.
Well, you know what Taxi says. Everybody loves a whaler.
Yes, but yeah. So what is going on, sir? I know that you've had some things happen here recently.
Yeah, a little bit. Livy's home. I don't want to. There's not too much detail there.
Yep.
She snuck out one night, and she was in a sober house, is where she was living, and they were transporting her to therapy, and she decided to be a typical 21-year-old kid, and she snuck out and went drinking and got thrown out. So we got her back here. We don't know what the plan is next, but at least she's here and she's safe. So hopefully by the time you guys are seeing this, we'll have a better plan for her.
Yeah.
But she's here. She's good. She's safe. That's all that matters.
I mean, yeah, and that you are correct. She's safe. Mm-hmm. and I get it. She didn't deal with alcohol, but it's still, it's one of those things where if you're in one of those positions, you kind of have to abide by those rules and regulations. But
right,
but I'm glad that she's home. I'm glad that she's safe. I have love for that girl. Your story is one of my all-time favorites. So there is that. But speaking about stories. So, the last time I was here, I did a podcast, and before that podcast, my guest, her name was Sarah Fight. She goes, "Hey, you should talk to the bartender. Her name is Hannah. She has a really good story because her father committed suicide." So, of course, me, who I am, I went up there and I said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming on the show tonight?" And she goes, "Yeah, I would be." So she is the guest tonight. She's in the wings. her mother was supposed to join us tonight, but unfortunately, her mother could not make it, which I understand. You know, when you talk about suicide, it's pretty hard to talk about. You know, and yes, Hannah has had a couple beers. That way, she will not cry as much. Okay, and I too am drinking a nice. It's called Main Street Marmalade from the Depot Brewing Company, which I should go ahead and throw this out. December 14th, there's going to be a small beard mustache competition right here at the Depot. So, yeah. But enough about that. Let's bring on my guest tonight. Our guest tonight, her name is Hannah Greenberg. All right. And, yeah, let's welcome her. What's up?
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to the stage,
Welcome.
Hannah.
Welcome.
Don't be afraid of the guy with the red mohawk over there.
I love it.
He might look intimidating, but he is not. So, you know, Hannah, our guests who are going to be watching this know me and Jason, but they don't know you. Like, none of them have ever met you before. So why don't you introduce yourself to the masses?
All right. Well, my name is Hannah Greenberg. I am 34 years old, and my dad passed away 4 years ago, July 9th, 2021. So
let's talk about that. So your childhood, everything was perfect that you know of, that you don't know of. Like, you know, let's get into that story. Let's get into your story, and then we'll get into what happened.
Okay. The story starts about when I was 13 years old. Is when my dad kind of started getting manic again. I guess it was, my memory of it is that I was at my recitals for dance, and it normally always happened in springtime when he would have his manic episodes.
Well, why springtime though?
I really don't know, but I think it might be because of his birthdays and then my mom's and I's birthday,
Right.
which is strange because it's all good things. Good things kind of triggered him. Like my brother, when he got bar mitzvahed when he was 13, that caused a depression for him. I think my dad's all stemmed to business and money that made him depressed.
All right.
But it wasn't that he didn't have enough. He had plenty. It just was, he was nervous that it wasn't going to come back ever. So that was his main, I guess, poison
All right.
to his mental health.
Had your father had a diagnosis prior, or is this just the way things were for you guys, and it was just what you guys considered the norm?
He, I think, was diagnosed when he was 21 years old when he did his first attempt.
Mm-hmm.
And then come to find out now, when my dad did pass away, I found out that my mom did know that he had mental illness and that he did try when he was 21, which you can't fault people for that. And you got to just love people for who they are. And that's what she did. They ended up getting married. My dad was perfectly fine, had my brother and I. He was perfectly fine. And then once Adam got bar mitzvahed, my brother, my glasses are foggy now, so I'm going to take those off. That's when he had his first depressions.
And do you think that is because his boy was becoming a man?
Could be.
You know, because I mean, like to a lot of families, especially fathers, you know, when their children grow up, that's kind of a hard thing, you know.
Yeah.
And in the Jewish faith, you know, bar mitzvahs happen. You know, your boy is no longer a boy; he is a man now. So,
right.
Do you think that had a lot to do with it?
That could have been it. But my mom loved to sit there and say, "Oh, it was all about the money." That he was freaking out. That money was going out the door. That he wasn't focusing on the correct thing.
See, I wouldn't like. I mean,
I didn't either.
Of course, I didn't know that then, or know you then, or anything like that. But I would not associate those two. I mean, it sucks to have to like. That's your mindset. You know, is that money? You know, but as we all know, money's the root of all evilness. But yet we need money to survive.
Right.
You know, but also Jewish people are kind of frugal. let's just go ahead and put that out there. And she laughs because she knows it's true. Right?
My dad was not, though. He'd love to be like, I'm just going to pay full price. Whatever. But, I mean, potentially I think it's just because he was a independent job owner. And I think when he was, I don't know, it just might have scared him that maybe nothing's going to come in the door tomorrow.
Well,
but it's like your reputation makes you, your personality, your the way you treat people in your business.
Well, and of course he wanted you guys to be taken care of, you know, and he didn't want you
to struggle or anything,
to worry,
and he
like
did
that.
great. He was very much a great provider, very much put us first. He just had his own demons
yeah. So you know that's the first time when your brother became a man. Let's talk about, you know, some other. So for those of you who are watching right now, my dog is going crazy because we're outside.
There's a dog.
Yeah, there's a dog walking by. So
sounds like your dog has a story to tell.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know, we're talking about that. So let's progress more. You know, when was, like, could you guys see any signs?
When I was 16 was when I first saw the first sign of it. My mom planned a Sweet 16 party for me, and I don't know if it was just overwhelming. Again, springtime, my birthday is in May. His birthday is April. And it was strange how that always was the timing. He would just get sad. Maybe it wasn't that busy in the appraisal and like industry at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so my memory of my 16th birthday surprise party was him being in the mental hospital. I don't know the full reason, but that's like way before he even tried when I was alive. So this was just like him being back and forth, me trying to understand how I help.
There's always those times in life, because Jason can attest to this with his daughter. So you know you get to that happy point, and you feel like, okay, I've reached that threshold, you know, so therefore I'm gonna fuck that threshold up, and I'm gonna try to harm myself or harm others, you know.
I think he wanted to take the pain for himself, and he didn't want anybody else to have to deal with it. But in the end, it kind of did hurt us because we wanted him there with us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, you know, like I'm a 3-time suicide survivor. Everybody's heard my story. I'm not ashamed to talk about it, but you know, like for me, and I kind of see this in what your father, you know, it's like when things are good, but in some, or how do I put it, in some ways or another,
it's our mind.
Things might be good, but in my mind, it's like, I'm like, no, you know,
I'm freaking out.
Yeah, and so did he ever want to get help for it, or? Oh,
my dad was in therapy since I was born, so like he was medicated. But the craziest part is that when he was younger, he never got medicated when we were kids. He was happy raising us, and like all of it was flowing correctly. But it's just like I don't know what happened, but it kind of like hit a wall, and then.
So, you know, let's focus on you and what, during all that time that you had to deal with this, how did it help you mentally? You know, were there struggles there because of that, because of the unknowns? You know, Dad's having a hard time. You know.
Yeah, I built myself to be a very hyper independent human, to the point that I have 2 jobs and make sure that I'm handled by myself. And that's probably an issue for my dating lifestyle, because I'm always trying to take everything on myself. But it just made me realize that there's no backup plan. And I don't know if that's a great thing or a bad thing, but it just made me a stronger female to be like, hey, if I don't get married someday, I'm going to be strong enough and set up enough for myself that I can be okay without
Well, and that's the thing. It's like we always want what's best, and that's why I feel like a lot of suicides happen because people are afraid to talk about it. That they're
Their
afraid to
feelings
they're
too.
afraid to like share. Hey, this shit's what's going on with me. And of course, when you're a parent and a husband, um, it's like you deal with that, and you're dealing with the burden of the way you feel, but you're also dealing with the burden of, okay, I got to make sure my family is enough.
Hmm.
My family's doing good. You know, um, so there is that. There's a lot of burden for a man to carry. And
Oh, for sure,
Well,
for
so
sure.
a lot of suicide attempts are because the person feels that they can unburden the people around them if they weren't there, that they're
Hmm.
the cause of the stress within the family dynamic or the friend social circle. So the thought often is, well, if I'm not here, things would be better for everybody else. So the
yeah,
problem with that is going and talking and seeking help perpetually in their mind burdens other people. So coming forward with it is a difficult obstacle to overcome because it's counterintuitive to the way their thought process is working at the time.
Yeah, and he did at the end um, try to say that he didn't want to burden us anymore, and I was like, "You are the least burden of my life." I was like, "I will make you the top priority of everything." But sometimes when you are not in the right mindset,
yeah.
you could say it a million
Mhm.
different ways.
Correct.
And I mean, you only can love and support someone
Well,
and
it's
try to be there and hold them. I don't know. Yeah.
it's like that. It's like when you take on so much, sometimes enough
Hmm.
isn't enough, so to speak. Um, I mean, I can think about the times that I tried. And this was way before I met my wife. Um, but um, at that particular time in my life, though, things weren't anywhere near where they are today. You know, but it's you know he was like, all right, I had this, but this isn't enough.
Hmm.
And to some people, it's never enough.
Hmm.
And so that's why people do sometimes commit suicide. Our viewers and our listeners, they can go back and they can watch Jason's story with his daughter. You know, and dealing with her. It's like you would get to that threshold, and then of course in your mind, because you're manic, things would go crazy. So I'm sure
Mhm.
with your father, like you said, that he did have those thresholds.
Hmm.
You know, um, so when and where were you?
His first attempt.
Yeah, it's first attempt.
I was. It was my brother's senior prom, and then it was my. I had a bunch of girlfriends that went to King's High School, and they ended up forcing a man to take me to prom with them because why not? It's a girl squad. So I ended up going my sophomore year to junior prom at King's. Adam went to his senior prom. We all had a great time. It was a good night. I could see 100% in my dad's eyes and just his face that he was not there. And like
Yep.
I have had experiences as a younger kid to see the signs, but had never seen it to that extent. And it scared me. Definitely. I was like 16 at that time. Um, and in my mind, I just was like, oh, he's going to overcome it. The next morning, I went back to my house, and my dad had called the house, and he said, let me talk to mom. I did something bad. And he was in his office and he had like weeks before told my mom that he was getting into some dangerous neighborhoods as an appraiser. He needed to buy himself a knife. So he ended up buying himself a knife. And then that's where my mom found him, was in his office chair, with stab wounds in his stomach. And that was his second time. First time with me, he was 21 for his first time, and his sister found him at UC. But so this was my first time, and I just was traumatized. I didn't understand why he would want to leave me at such a young age. I went to the hospital, scraped off the blood. I just asked him to never do that again. But you can't really do that when you're not in the right mindset.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and as a parent, that's one thing you never want to hear from your child, you know? I mean, it's just, I have never been through that as a parent, thank God. And hopefully never will. But, I mean, it had to be. And but like you said, it's there were great times when this was going on.
Before, yeah, he was.
And
yeah.
even, you know, it's just, maybe that was his thing. You know?
Maybe he like couldn't see the joy because he was like, is it because like you weren't there with us at the moment, but like he was there for the photos and all that other. I don't know. He also came from a crazy background. My grandparents, like I think we're a little like my grandpa was kind of jealous of my dad for going and being an appraiser instead of being a realtor like he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he always just wanted to make his parents proud. But it's like you exceeded it already. You had your own business. You had a wonderful family. You had a house. Like you were striving every day.
Yeah.
But in his mind, it wasn't good enough ever.
Well, yeah, because we always want to be more than what our parents want for us, you know, and that's because we're held as human beings in our parents' eyes. We're held to certain standards, but in our eyes, sometimes those standards aren't good enough, you know, and that's where the struggles do come in. So let's fast forward to when the final happened.
Okay. That was 2021. I was on my way. I had just, this is kind of weird. There was like a brand new apartment complex that just got built by my mom and dad's condos. My dad was like, wow, this would be the perfect place for you. Like you should move into this apartment. It's right next to us. Like we can have family nights. And in my mind, I didn't think anything of it. Ended up moving into the apartment a couple of months later. And then when my dad was helping me move into the apartment, it also was when my twin nephews were born. Let me rewind. My nephews were born April 29th. So 4 days after my dad's birthday, 2021. And, you know, you would think that he would be joyous, your first set of grandchildren, like your son had these beautiful babies. And then what happened was him and my mom went up to Boston. They had the baby namings. My dad was like, apparently what we found out later was he was not taking his medication. But so when he went to
see that catch today?
when he went to Boston to visit, he ended up having a terrible time, wanting to leave immediately because he was just uncomfortable with the situation. And I think when he got home, he knew that my mom was going to be helping my sister-in-law and brother for a while. And it scared him because he thought that the kids were going to take my mom away, which is insane. Like, she's not leaving you. And if so, maybe a week at a time, but I'm right here. Terrified at him. My mom was also trying to want to like use their life savings to build their dream home, which was unnecessary, especially being the time frame of 2020.
Sorry, buddy. The dog is going haywire. There's another dog walking across the street, ain't this? Which, hey, it breaks up the sadness. But
yeah, true. So when he got back from Boston, I could tell that he was very unsettled. So when they were trying to talk about the house, my brother and I told them that maybe this isn't the best time to do that. It might make Dad a little bit manic, and that's exactly what it did. Made him manic because of the house situation. Because I mean, why would you want to spend all kinds of money on the expensive lumber too right now when you could have waited just a little bit longer?
Right. That was at the peak of the construction expenses increases during COVID. Yeah.
And like the man knew it. He was like, what are
Mhm.
we doing? I don't want to do that. We have a condo. It's perfectly fine. We've had it for 10 years. And I think that just pushed him to the limit. And then the boys. Hey, BB.
Mhm.
So I had to pick up the dog. There was another dog walking by. Yeah. So my dog is going to be sitting in my lap for probably the rest of the podcast, but it's okay. But so
So after that, I moved into my apartment.
Yep.
My mom and
Mhm.
Dad were helping me. My dad was walking down the hallway, and I could just tell that he was at that moment. Like, it's just, when you know your family member and you can hone into it. I have like a strange way of just feeling people's emotions. I don't know if it's a gift or a curse. But I could just feel that he was unsteady. Asked him about it, and he just was like, I can't get this out of my head, Hannah.
yeah.
And so that was the 4th of July. And then I had a trip planned for my girlfriend, like one of my girlfriends, to go with her boyfriend, and some friends up to Put-in-Bay. We went. The morning before that, I dropped off my keys. My dad, I was like, hey, how are you doing? And he's just like, oh, same old, same old. And in my mind, wish I would have said more.
Yeah.
Would have been like the last time.
Well, yeah, but then it's like what
What would I have said?
Yeah, what would you have said? Would what you could have said saved them? You never know.
Yeah.
When you're going through that in your mind as a human being, and of course you don't know. It's like, okay, same old. You're my dad. You're just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm. And then you promised you wouldn't do it again, right? You're holding on to the promise.
Yeah, and that's.
And then, like, how do you trust a man after that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, then you have trust issues.
I have the most.
Yep, or daddy issues.
Yeah, 100%. So then after that, I went up to Put-in-Bay, and if anybody is from Ohio, you have to take a ferry to Put-in-Bay. It's on an island. So I was literally just arriving on the island, just set up camp when I got the phone call. Destroyed everything for me because I'm trapped on an island.
Yeah.
And my brother calls me and he's gone.
And you're like,
I wasn't there.
I just spoke to him,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, we always ask ourselves, okay, what could I have said to make things different?
He just had it in his head.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's nothing you could say to make things different, That's why it's important for people who are struggling to reach out and talk, because nobody wants to deal with losing a loved one due to suicide,
Yeah,
and
because you randomly feel it every single day.
You have the guilt, you have the guilt and you have the shame.
I don't know if it's shame though. I'm not shamed.
I can tell you that, for me,
for my dad, he felt shameful as well. But I don't really look at it that way. I think that our brains can be toxic.
Yeah.
So it's a chemical imbalance.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's how I look at it.
And there are in the mental health, there are a lot of things that are chemically imbalanced to where you just can't help it. It happens. There are people who struggle with PTSD, who struggle with being bipolar. And as of recently, everybody's seeing the whole on the news. This causes this this causes that,
Oh yeah, with red dye and stuff like that.
And yeah, that's the thing, is that you don't know, and that's why it's important for people to reach out and talk. I mean, nobody wants to hear about their loved one committing suicide, especially their father, or your mother's husband. I mean, nobody wants to see their daughter or their son. And Jason can attest to this. I mean, I tell people all the time, go back and watch the story with Jason and Olivia. It is powerful, and it is about mental health and suicide, just like this one is. And it just so happens that this is Suicide Awareness Month. Um, it's
important for people to beat the stigma and not hide behind it, because it's something that's scary. It should be something that's talked about, that if you need to have a conversation, have the conversation and don't be nervous about it, because everybody probably has been in the exact same boat.
It's opening up and talking about the conversation, because the times that I tried to commit suicide, I didn't want to talk to anybody, and that's the thing. It's that we all deal with those mindsets, to where we don't want to talk about things. We don't want to talk about feelings. Especially men. Men hate talking about feelings. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, but that like needs to be a stigma that's broken, because we are all human. We all have the same maybe kind of thoughts that come through our brains, and then we just need to sit there and piece it apart. And it shouldn't be shameful. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It shouldn't be shameful for anybody to speak about their mental health. Man, woman, child.
Because it could save you. It could save you. It could save children that are confused on like what's happening today in the world. And you just have to be like, hey, you have to believe in the positivity. Also, I'm a big believer in going out in nature. That's my soother. So
nature heals in many ways. Yep.
100%.
I mean, Jason's wife can attest to that. That woman's out in the woods more than anybody I know.
I love it so much. It heals me.
If it's true, then she's the healthiest person in the world.
But,
yes.
But like I can tell you, and I can speak from this, and I can speak from this as of recently. My life is pretty damn fantastic right now. I'm coming up on 4 years of being married to my wife, who, God bless her heart, she's put up with a lot of my shit. And that woman is a saint.
Yeah,
but
and it's all the good, positive things that came.
But the thing is, and I'm gonna say this truthfully and honestly with everybody, I've also been very depressed because of it. Simply because of the fact that it's not that I've overcome a lot. It's just like, wow, like to think back, But then again, it's like I think of the fucking wonderful life I have now, and the friends that I have, and that's one thing. If it wasn't for the life I have now and the friends I have and the changes I made, I mean, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. Nobody would be here. I mean, me talking about this podcast to Jason, he would not be sitting here right now. He wouldn't have, especially Jason, back in December 2024, when I was going through a rough time, he said, I'll take it over for as long as you need to, But if it wasn't for that, nobody would be here,
Yeah.
It sucks that things happen, but we don't need to put blame on ourselves for those things happening.
Nope, you gotta find grace in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's not really easy. It's not easy to give yourself grace. I know it's easier said than done, but patience is definitely a virtue. You got to be kind to yourself always. You just have to look at like the end. Like, there's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow that I can try this again. That, like, is there something that I need to move around to make things different? And like when I turned 30, it's crazy how like my whole life, like brain expansion just went into a whole different universe. And I'm mad that my dad didn't get to see that because he could have seen me at my full potential.
But
and
I
it's
mean,
like maybe it's because I grew from the situation.
Yeah.
Or
and you know, and the reality of it, like, I mean, I technically don't believe in heaven or hell or anything like that, but I believe that our spirits live on,
Mhm.
so to speak. So, I believe that your dad is looking down from you from somewhere,
Yeah.
you know, and proud of the human being that you've become. You know, it's like for me, it's white butterflies. Whenever I see a white butterfly, it's for me, it's a significant of that's my dad.
Yeah.
You know,
Mine's
and
coins because he was a coin collector.
and you know, it is like for me, it's 14 years ago yesterday. My dad died. You know, which died of cancer, not suicide. Um, you know, and as quiet as that guy would have been, he would have talked about it. You know, but like it's always when we're thinking about our loved ones and our families that things happen. You know, like holy crap, that just happened.
Yeah.
You know, so yesterday I saw a lot of white butterflies. You know,
Yeah, I'm very much into the
yeah,
spiritual realm as well. So
he's not ashamed by any means, and I know that if he were still here on this earth, he would want you to continue living your life the best way possible. You know, and not worrying about him. You know, even though he worried about him. You know, and he worried about too much. I mean, Jason can attest to this. You know, it's being a parent. Okay, because Jason is. I mean, fuck. Jason is Olivia's dad. Okay, even though he's not her biological father, that man has seen her go through a lot, and with her struggles. But you know, as a parent, we want the best for our children. You know, so it sucks that your dad had to take his life for that. You know,
I think it wasn't. I think it just was his brain too, though. like sometimes I sit back and I'm like, wow, what could I have done that would have been different or something like that. But
it's you could never.
But I think he was proud. Like my mom tells me that
he still is.
So, but I still get sad. Like, you're never gonna walk me down the aisle. You're never gonna see my firstborn, and that breaks me. That's.
I mean, my and I can, you know, attest to with my wife and our marriage. You know, when we got married, her mom didn't really know who I was, and I don't know what she would think about me now. To be honest, because
half the time I don't know what to think about you. So
you know,
we're on the same page.
But you know, like we can't, as human beings, we can't ask ourselves about the what ifs.
I know.
We
just hurts too much, right?
Because you can't change it.
No, we can't. You can't change what happens in this universe. You know, what we can strive to be is the person who our parents would have wanted us to be. You know.
So this reminds me, ironically, of lyrics of a song today that caught my eye or that caught my ear, and I'm going to rudely look at my phone because I want to find these
the lyrics
exactly, and I can't even remember the band. So I'll paraphrase.
Well, that doesn't help anything, sir.
Just Google
I
the
know.
lyrics.
Well, listen,
that's what I do.
It gets worse every year.
That's called old age.
Yeah, well, I'm past that point. So it was loosely to the effect of go easy on yourself because the world isn't. Something to that effect. There's nothing you could do to change it. Don't beat yourself up over it. And it just, knowing that there was a show coming up, it just stuck in my head.
I mean, and that's
it was the Interrupters.
It's by the Interrupters.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of that?
I've never heard of them.
So
I'm
they
sure
were,
if we heard it, we would know.
yeah, it was not an OG punk band, but a 90s 2000s punk band.
Oh, we'll probably know.
You think I would have heard about the Interrupters? Because the '90s. That was my
The
punk.
jam, yeah, that was mine too.
That's my punk
Yeah,
era.
so
You know?
so like
I guess, yeah.
Interrupters, the Transplants, anything, Timmy Armstrong from Rancid. That was all that perfect. That was, I think, the perfect time for punk when they evolved enough to not just be kids that were pissed off at the world,
Yeah, exactly.
but they were
and
like
then they made good
20
lyrics.
somethings that like, oh, well, there's more to this than just being pissed off at everything.
Yeah.
And I think the music got
and
better.
now punk gets confused with emo music, but that
Yes.
enough about that. Right? But it's and I say this for anybody, and Hannah can attest to this, Jason can attest to this. It's already been uttered 1,000 times. Reach out, talk to somebody. 988 is out there.
And you have us friends here.
By the way, 988. If you call 988, the mental health hotline, they do not call the police. They do not call 911. It is a human being just like me and you on the other line. They only call 911 if things get to the point to where they need to. But other than that, it is a person on the other end of the phone, that is able to talk to somebody. So never be afraid to reach out and talk to anybody. Because talking helps.
Definitely, and you don't know who has the same situation as you, and there could be somebody, there will be somebody that can sit there and have the conversation with you.
And that's exactly the premise of this show. We're not clinicians. We're not here to treat anybody. We just hope stories
and let's just be honest.
People's experiences can connect with somebody and hopefully help them in some way.
There will be an episode airing, probably either before or after everybody watches this, where I actually disagree with the clinician. I'm not. So I'm not a therapist. I believe in what I believe in. And one of those things is talking about it. I don't believe in forcing somebody to take pill A. To make them better.
Yeah.
I think that and this is, listeners, you can take this how you want, viewers and listeners, but I think that does not help. I think that you're having somebody take pill A, that might make them a zombie,
Strip them of their personality.
No. And not that it's a coping mechanism, but it is a coping mechanism to some people, but which could lead to an addiction, and we all know that. There are opioids out there that people take for certain elements that have led them to become addicts, and that have led them to commit suicide.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say meds are right, meds are wrong, but there are other options out there for people to look at.
At least it shouldn't be the first method. Correct.
Yeah. First method is talking to somebody. If you go talk to a licensed therapist, which I've been in therapy, nothing's wrong with it. Which if you're looking for a therapist, I'm not sponsored by this company, but BetterHelp.com. Reach out to them. They have online therapists, to where you don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home.
Telehealth.
Yeah, a lot of companies offer telehealth. They offer therapists, and that's what those things are there. But don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody. Because as I say every single show, it's better to have you on this earth than to have you 6 feet under. Or have you cremated. But thank you for coming on and talking about the experiences that you have with suicide.
Of course.
and then dealing with your father, because that takes a strong individual to talk about that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Happy to share my story.
yeah, so we've said a lot. I usually ask my guests before we wrap up if there's anything out there to say to somebody, but I think you pretty much have said it.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out, talk to somebody, and don't be afraid.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
No.
We're all here for you in your corner.
This podcast is not going to be going away at all. As it has slowed down a little bit with finding live podcasts, but that's just because things get busy, lives, So, but we appreciate you all for watching this when it does air. I appreciate everybody, reach out, talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to call 988. Trust me, it's not going to hurt you to talk. You can call me.
Yeah.
You can Facebook message Jason. Just reach out, because that's all it takes. It just takes one phone call.
Everybody's here to listen to you.
Or one, hey, listen to me. Don't say anything. Just listen.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you, everybody. That's going to be it for the evening. It is getting dark outside. And yeah, so we have an awesome lineup of podcast guests. Stay tuned, because we have some amazing guests coming on that will be either live or pre-taped, because that's how we do things now. But thank you again, Hannah, for coming on.
Thank you.
Hannah, thank you for sharing your story. It was great to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it, guys. We'll see you on the next podcast. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Go visit go visit a brewery, because
it's fun.
A lot of great conversations can happen at breweries.
Yes.
And people who are struggling with life come to these places, right? Because sometimes they think beer is the answer. Alcohol is not the answer, right? Neither are drugs. The answer is talking about it. So don't be a statistic. Reach out. We love you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.